Stay right here. Zendaya.
Do you show your one leg move?
Yeah. Sometimes it was very high tech. I would stand on one leg
Now,
and sort of float around.
I hear you're very good at it. Can you show us?
Are you sure? I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah, no, let's see it. We'll put some music on. Put some music on.
Some room, make some room.
Oh, here she goes.
It began as a whisper. 2 actresses, 2 interviews, and a wave of coded truths. And Hathaway and Zendaya never named names, but they didn't have to. Zendaya spoke of industry giants who sabotage rising stars, and described women forced to wear crowns of ash. The internet quickly pieced it together. Blake Lively. Following her court scandal with Justin Baldoni, her once untouchable image cracked. What might have once been dismissed as vague shades suddenly seemed undeniable. Fans revisited old interviews, dissected hidden gestures, and uncovered patterns long ignored. The result was chilling. This wasn't petty rivalry or coincidence. It was a quiet, deliberate battle for power, playing out in public whispers and carefully veiled confessions.
This is my first Vogue cover, my second Vogue cover, and this is my most recent Vogue cover. My first Vogue shoot, I was just excited to be there. I was like, put me in whatever you want. I was 20. I felt very, very honored. At the time, I was still doing my Disney show, and this was happening at the same time, and I was kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Zendaya has always played the long game. Poised, intelligent, and deliberate, she's never been one to wade into drama, making her words at a Vogue round table land like a thunderclap. There are people in this industry, she said, who don't want young women to succeed unless they can control the narrative. I've seen careers stalled over jealousy, disguised as strategy. She didn't call out anyone directly, but the silence that followed was deafening. Viewers and listeners instantly sensed she wasn't speaking in hypotheticals. Social media immediately lit up with speculation, dredging up a moment from Zendaya's past. Just a few years earlier, she had been announced as the lead in a prestigious biopic, a career-defining role. Yet weeks after production began, the project abruptly fell apart. The public explanation was creative redirection, but behind the scenes, whispers told a different story. Blake Lively, initially passed over for the part, had allegedly intervened. Suddenly, producers grew distant. Calls stopped. Meetings vanished. And Zendaya was quietly replaced. At the time, it was dismissed as routine Hollywood chaos. But in light of Blake's recent court scandal, Zendaya's carefully timed remarks felt less like coincidence and more like confirmation. Not feud, not chance. Sabotage.
How involved were you with your look tonight?
I mean, I'm wearing it. It was a group effort. Adira Abergeld had this amazing idea for my hair. Kate Lee, I love what she did with my eyes. And obviously Pier Paolo for Valentino did an unbelievable job. Helped by Charla Maxwell and Penny Lovell. That's going to get that all in.
If Zendaya's words were a whisper and Hathaway's landed like a scalpel. On a podcast released just days after Zendaya's Vogue appearance and delivered a line that instantly went viral. Some women build empires. Others burn bridges and wear crowns made of ash. The tone was icy, the delivery razor-sharp, and followed with a story from the 2015 award season. A powerful actress, she said, had quietly spread false rumors that derailed another woman's Oscar campaign. The whispers were baseless, but they worked. The targeted actress lost momentum, and her rival walked away with the prize. And offered no names, but fans didn't need them. Many recalled the rumored tension between her and Blake Lively that same year, sparked by a Dior campaign. Both were brand ambassadors, but insiders alleged Blake maneuvered herself into the spotlight moment meant for, and, at the time, it was brushed off as gossip. But in light of Blake's court scandal, Anne's words took on new weight. She wasn't describing a single incident. She was pointing to a pattern. And once she spoke it aloud, the pattern became impossible to ignore.
Maybe it was when Michele, I was obsessed in Capri. They have lemon and then inside is lemon sorbet. And I was trying every single one to figure out which one was the best. And one day he showed up and he bought this lemon sorbet for all of us. And he was like, this is the one.
Once and Zendaya broke their silence. Fans and insiders began tugging at old threads, and what unraveled was a disturbing timeline stretching nearly a decade. In 2016, Zendaya was confirmed as the face of a high-fashion campaign. Just a week later, Blake Lively was announced as the star of the same line. Zendaya's deal was quietly shelved. In 2018, Anne Hathaway was set to headline a female-led thriller. The project stalled. Months later, Blake inked a deal with the same studio for a strikingly similar film. Whispers that once sounded like idle gossip began to take shape. An anonymous publicist told an independent journalist that Blake's team had a pattern, strategically inserting her into competitor campaigns while manipulating perception through timed leaks and media diversions. Her goal was simple, the source said: remove competition without ever looking personal. Even Joe Rogan touched on it during a follow-up episode. You start noticing the same fingerprints on every move, the same PR tricks, the same spotlight shifts, the same silence from people who should be speaking. It's not drama, it's a machine. This wasn't rivalry. It was strategy. And Blake was playing to win.
Hold on, Blake, we gotta focus.
Zendaya and Anne Hathaway share more than just carefully chosen words. They both hold a deep respect for Justin Baldoni. Zendaya has praised him publicly for his work on mental health and masculinity, even calling him in a 2021 interview one of the only men in Hollywood who actually listens. But their connection to Baldoni reveals a curious pattern. Zendaya was once attached to a Baldoni-directed social justice drama, ambitious, urgent, and ready to film. Then, without warning, the project was shelved. Officially, the studio cited concerns about the cast being too politically outspoken. Weeks later, Blake Lively's name surfaced, tied to the same studio but attached to a polished, family-friendly franchise, and Hathaway experienced something similar. She had discussed collaborating with Baldoni's production company on a documentary, only for it to quietly disappear into development limbo. Industry whispers point to influence. Blake and Ryan Reynolds hold significant power behind the scenes, production leverage, agency ties, and investor pull. Multiple Baldoni-backed projects reportedly stalled or lost funding following subtle interventions. Now, with Zendaya and speaking up, those abandoned opportunities aren't just forgotten footnotes. They're evidence. And the picture forming is far more deliberate than coincidence.
Everyone was so excited because we have to show the picture. Here you are next to Anna Wintour, who famously was the inspiration for The Devil Wears Prada. You're looking like your character, Annie. Was this on purpose? Was this by just design? How did this happen? Look at you.
I know that it was kind of nuts, wasn't it? It was by accident. I was supposed to wear something else. The shoes didn't fit. This was the other outfit that came. My hairstylist, who was so lovely, and I'd never worked with him before, just said, oh, I know what to do. And he threw my hair up in a ponytail. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, that's funny. I wonder if anybody will notice. They noticed. Yeah.
Hollywood thrives on denial. But every so often, the truth slips through the cracks. One such leak came in the form of a confidential spreadsheet passed quietly among journalists and ex-publicists. It cataloged unpreferred talent, flagged by major agencies. Zendaya's name appeared in 2019, and Hathaway's followed in 2021. The stated reason: too vocal, not controllable. The list wasn't illegal, but it was undeniably unethical. Digging deeper, journalists found the connection. A longtime publicist for Blake Lively was tied to 3 of the 5 firms linked to the blacklist. From there, patterns surfaced. Stars who clashed with Blake or Ryan Reynolds often found themselves sidelined, dropped from campaigns, ghosted by studios, frozen out of red carpets. Zendaya reportedly clashed with Blake's team during a 2020 campaign shoot, where Blake's reps allegedly demanded top billing and final approval of promotional materials, even though Zendaya had been cast first, and faced her own fallout. After criticizing Hollywood's performative activism, whispers painted her as difficult in contract talks. Jobs vanished. Sympathy dwindled. And one of those lost roles? It conveniently went to Blake. Coincidences rarely repeat with such precision. Names. Faces. Consequences. The pattern spoke louder than any rumor ever could. In Toro 7, old footage has a way of resurfacing like a time bomb. One clip, now viral on TikTok and Reddit, came from the 2018 Met Gala. And Hathaway, dazzling in red, was mid-interview when Blake Lively stepped in from behind, placed a hand on her shoulder, and interrupted with a smile. The reporter, instantly starstruck, shifted focus to Blake. Anne's expression, tight-lipped, composed, but unmistakably strained, said everything. Back then, it was brushed off as light-hearted celebrity banter. Now, it reads as a calculated power move. Another memory resurfaced from 2022, a rumored brand collaboration between Zendaya and Blake's fashion label. Initially hyped, it was abruptly cancelled. The official explanation was creative differences, but insiders claim Blake balked at sharing the spotlight. Zendaya quietly stepped away, and fans noticed a troubling pattern. Blake didn't collaborate. She absorbed, overshadowed, and ultimately excluded. The ripple effect of and Zendaya's quiet defiance spread quickly. Florence Pugh, Rachel Zegler, and even Emma Stone began to distance themselves. No press statements, just unfollows, declined invites, conspicuous absences on red carpets. Blake's latest campaign, pitched as a celebration of female unity, floundered. Major stars skipped the launch. The media asked questions. Hollywood answered with silence, but Joe Rogan didn't. They used to call Blake the queen of reinvention, he said on air. But the armor cracked. Now no one's scared to talk. Behind the scenes, the fallout deepened. Agents advised clients to avoid lively projects. Publicists quietly pulled quotes. Studio heads raised uncomfortable questions, and as silence thickened around her, Blake's once thunderous empire began to echo, hollow, fragile, and impossible to ignore.